Welcome to JustMakeGames.com's first tutorial in our How to Make an Entire Game Using Cryengine 3 series. This game will be a community-wide open source project so anybody can contribute at JustMakeGames.com as well as download all the assets and code used in the tutorial series. In this episode, we'll be creating a model similar to this one using 3ds Max 2012, applying proper UV mapping and exporting to Cryengine 3. Now this will be a beginner's tutorial, so you're going to learn all the basics involved for creating your own assets throughout your entire game. Before you begin, you'll want to make sure you have all your 3ds Max and Photoshop plugins and exporters set up by clicking this link in order to view our intro series tutorial. When you begin 3ds Max, a green light should indicate that your settings are configured properly. Now let's begin a new project, and let's save our project immediately. I've created a shortcut to my Cryengine 3 on my desktop. In the game folder, you're going to want to create a folder named Objects. I like to organize my folders within Objects, so I create a custom folder, and within Custom I create a folder named Village for the village we will be creating. Within Village I name my file Village House 01.max. You'll first want to head to Customize Unit Setup and ensure that your display unit scale is set to metric centimeters. Next, check Snaps Toggle, Angle Snaps Toggle, and Percent Snaps Toggle in order to make sure that all your objects align with grids properly. In order to navigate in 3ds Max, you'll want to use your perspective viewport. Middle click in order to pan your camera. Hold Alt and middle click in order to rotate your camera, and use your scroll wheel to zoom. You can also hit Shift W in order to activate a tool which will allow you many different features in modifying your views. We'll begin by creating a box. In your Create tab, select Box and drag a surface area for your width and length. Let go of your mouse and drag in order to select your height. In order to maximize your workflow in 3ds Max, you'll want to have your fingers on the Q, W, E, and R keys. Q will bring you to select mode, in which you can click an object to select it. Hit Q multiple times in order to cycle through your different select options. Hit W in order to transform your object in any axes and using any viewport in order to maintain accuracy. Use E in order to rotate along any axes, and use R in order to scale in any axes or uniformly, and Q to get back to your select. Now to modify our object, select it and go to Modify tab next to the Create tab, and you'll see Parameters. We'll make a length of 1200 centimeters with a width of 800 centimeters and a height of 20 centimeters in order to give us a base floor of approximately 25 feet by 40 feet by half a foot. In order to further modify your object, right-click the object and select Editable Poly. Now using your 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 keys on your keyboard, you'll be able to select different components of the objects, including vertices, and 4 for polygon mode. So selecting polygon mode, we can select individual faces on our object. The first important modifier we'll learn is Inset. Under Edit Polygons, next to Inset, you'll see the Settings box, which will give you a set of options in order to fine-tune your modifier. By dragging the option, you can set the amount of inset. We'll use 20 centimeters in order to ensure our walls are all the same width. Now use the green check in order to apply the modifier. Now within Polygon Select mode, we can select the individual faces we just created by holding Control and clicking. You can also hit Alt and click in order to deselect something from a group. With all 4 of our walls selected, we'll learn our next important tool, the Extrude modifier. Use the Settings box next to Extrude in order to select the amount of extrusion by dragging the option, or we'll use an exact measurement of 400 centimeters in order to achieve a height of approximately 13 feet. Now in Polygon Select mode, select one of your walls and navigate downward in order to find the Quick Slice button, which is the next important tool we'll learn. Select Quick Slice, and we'll use our 2D left view in order to maintain an accurate cut. Now using the Quick Slice tool, you can click once to begin your cut and click twice to finish your cut, which will create 2 polygons split at the seam you selected. Always remember to right-click, hit Q on your keyboard, or uncheck the Quick Slice button in order to exit Quick Slice mode. And now in Polygon Select mode, we can select the 2 individual polygons we've just created. Now we'll use the Extrude modifier once again, using any height in order to fine-tune our extrusion in the top wireframe mode. Use your W key to enter transform mode and drag your new polygon to match the seam of your wall. If you need more grid lines, simply right-click Snaps Toggle, and in the Home Grid tab, select Grid Spacing to 10 centimeters and major lines every 10th line. Now that we have our walls properly set up, let's go back to the Create tab, hit Q, and select an empty space to deselect your walls, and we'll create another box for the base outline of our door. Once you have a shape created, we'll modify the parameters to be 100 by 200 by 300. Hit W to enter transform mode and use your 2D views in order to make sure that your door is properly aligned with the center of your walls. And we want the door to be slightly above the floor or directly on the floor, like so, and we need the door to be intersecting the entire wall, going through both sides, or at least even with it, so this will work fine. Now we're going to subtract the door from our walls by changing in Create mode from standard primitives to compound objects, and by selecting the object that we want to have subtracted something from, we go to Boolean and select Pick Operand B, and then select the object which we want to subtract. Now if you've done this properly, you'll have an entryway to your house, and we'll use a similar process to create your windows. Hit Q and deselect everything and go back to standard primitives. Now we'll use our 2D front view to create a box, and we'll drag the height out, which you can't see, but if you move in your top view, you can use your W transform tool to drag the box to where it needs to be to intersect your wall. Now we'll deselect the box and create a cylinder. And we're going to want to modify the cylinder and set the radius to be 50 centimeters if your box is a similar size, and use the W tool to place the cylinder in an appropriate position to be the top half of our window, like so. Now we only need 1 height segment for this cylinder, and 8 sides will be enough. And once you've properly positioned the cylinder, right-click the object and convert it to an editable poly. Enter Polygon Select mode. Use Q to select all the polygons, and we're going to use the Quick Slice tool again to slice all the polygons in half. Exit Quick Slice mode, re-enter Polygon Select mode, and select the bottom half polygons, delete them, and now we'll select the entire element, and we'll use the Attach modifier. Then click the object we want to attach it to, the bottom half of our window, and we now have 1 editable poly, which is our window. It doesn't matter that they're not lined up because we're just going to subtract it from the wall. Now I'll quickly use the technique we already learned. Select our walls, go to Compound Objects, select Boolean, pick Operand B, and select our window to subtract that. You'll then need to modify your walls and right-click and remake it an editable poly, polygon mode, and you may need to delete these extra polygons. We're going to leave 1 polygon there in order to use the Extrude modifier. We'll fine-tune it to match the outer edge of our wall. Then we can delete this, delete the extra polygons, and see that we have nice faces and no gaps in our window. We'll finish this model in the next episode, and if you have any trouble, visit justmakegames.com's forums or chat.